Hey guys, it's Michi. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to do this video. It's been a long time coming. If you guys watched my video saying that, I quit my job and I left America, well, I did. Today is July 6th. It's Monday and I have officially been in Mexico for a little over a week now, and it's been absolutely incredible. I want to talk about why I chose to leave the US, why I chose Mexico, what are the pressing questions that people are asking me, and why I chose to leave during a pandemic. Now, let me rewind to the beginning. Last year, I had wrote in my journal that I was going to move to Mexico. I wrote it in December. January came, I had a vacation coming up with a good friend of mine, and I also needed to get treatment on my knee. So I came, and this is not the first time I've been here. I come here pretty often, and every time I come, it gets harder and harder to leave. And most of you guys know that I travel a lot, and I'm always looking for that place to call home. I thought it would be Thailand. I thought it would be Panama. I even thought it would be South Africa at one point. But it ended up being Mexico. It just speaks to my soul. So I had wrote down in December that I was going to move here, and I didn't really know how, when. I didn't know. So once I came on vacation with a friend of mine, it was like really bad weather and other things that was going on. So I pretty much was happily stuck here for more days. And at that moment, I decided that I would move here. Wasn't sure how I was going to do it. Wasn't sure of anything. I just knew that I wanted to be here. So I came back. I left, came back a week later, and began looking for a place to live. I wanted to see how it was going to be to live here completely, because there's a big difference between vacationing in a place and actually living in a place. Very, very big difference. Big difference, I mean. So, I came, I told my partner that, hey, we're moving to Mexico, and I want you to come with me, but if it's not something that you want to do, I understand. I'll come by myself. And this was important to me. It was so important to me that I was really willing to risk my relationship with in my marriage, my friends, my job, everything, because it was that important to me. I just felt peaceful here. So we came back a week later after I came back, and I, found insurance, how to get insurance. I found, doctors. I treated my knee while I was here. We went to the dentist. I really wanted to, put myself in how it would be living here. So once we returned in March, back to the US, back to California where I lived, the world shut down. Pandemic was full blown, and I had just listed my house for sale. I ended up losing $40,000 in equity in my house due to the pandemic. I lost my cleaning company that I had just launched due to the pandemic, and I had lost all of my revenue and profit from my travel agency, Brown Girls Travel. So I literally had nothing to go on. Everything that I was banking was over. So I was really, really sad, and I thought I was going to have to give up my me moving here. But I didn't give up, because this is where my soul is happy. And even if I tried to convince myself to stay there in the US and in California, I just wasn't happy. Not that I wasn't happy with my life, because I was happy with my neighborhood, happy with my home, happy with everything that I had worked for, loved my neighborhood. It wasn't that. It was just being here gave me a different type of freedom. So I continued to work on leaving, despite people telling me that I was crazy, despite people telling me that I shouldn't leave my job, or my family and friends there. There was a lot that I had to overcome. And I didn't know anybody that had did it, successfully, other than travel. But to actually live in a country and thrive in a country, I didn't know anybody that looked like me. I tried to ask questions to other people who, had moved and said that they were in a different country, but they didn't want to tell me without, charging me. And then they weren't even where I was. So that presented its own challenges. So I decided to start recording my journey in real time. And I did. And I think that it will be helpful. Now I just need to put all of that footage up, showing everything that I've done. So, me leaving behind my career, not just a job, but a career that I worked very hard in, and I really, really enjoyed and loved. Me leaving behind things that I thought was important at one time. All of the things that you work so hard for, all of the materialistic things that you work hard for, you realize none of that is important. Coming here and transitioning into a completely different lifestyle has been really good for my soul. It's being free. It's freeing in a way that you cannot imagine. You just can't imagine it. In the United States, they encourage debt. They encourage home ownership and, fancy cars as signs of success. For me, in my opinion, that's how I felt. You get a good job, you have a home, you have a relationship, you have kids, and you're successful. But what happens when the ideas of success that you have doesn't match up with the people's ideas of success? I started traveling despite people telling me that I shouldn't, that it wasn't safe for a Black woman to be traveling alone. But I did it anyway. And I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I kind of just followed my own beat and did it for myself. I couldn't wait for friends. I couldn't wait for family, because guess what? The time was never right. There was never enough money. There was never enough time off. None of that. And I learned a lesson from my mother. My mother was 58 when she died at work in her car alone. And she didn't vacation. She didn't do anything. She did everything else for everyone else, but nothing ever for herself. So at that moment, I decided that I was going to retire every month until I couldn't, and I did that. I didn't wait for my job to give me permission. I didn't wait for my friends to say that they could afford it. I didn't wait for anyone to say it was okay. I just did what I wanted to do. And that's pretty much how this happened as well. So you think a Black woman and the idea of success the idea of success and having made it, I did that. But it didn't give me the fulfillment that I was looking for. I wanted to own my own time, not just be a business owner that was, thriving in money, but I wanted to thrive in life. I wanted to thrive in love and I couldn't do that where I was. And here, there's just so much freedom. People ask me, well, did you move to Mexico because it's cheap? The particular part that I am in isn't cheap. It's less expensive than where I was, but it's not cheap by any means. There's many, many, many different places here in Mexico that you can live really well. Excuse me. You can live really well with a limited amount of money. And this isn't one of them. Merida is one that you can really do well. Mazatlan. The big cities you can do well, but I live in Puerto Vallarta, which is very touristy and pretty expensive, to be honest, for Mexico. Now, I share so much on Facebook about my whole transition here and my purpose. I was asked how come I decided to move to Mexico and not Africa. I did at one point want to live in South Africa because I thought it was beautiful and I could get a lot for my money there, but I felt from my own experience that I really didn't fit in, and it sounds odd, but I felt wonderful in Johannesburg. Well, Johannesburg, it was like home. I felt great, but it wasn't the safest place to live. And in South Africa, the coloreds didn't really make me feel welcome. And the Africans, the ones that looked like me, were amazing, but I was always mad because I didn't like how they were treated. So I didn't want to be a part of the oppression, even though I was already oppressed. I just didn't want that. So I kind of X'd that out. And Mexico was always on my list. It just was. The people here are so good to me. They're so kind. They're so loving. And never once did I feel uncomfortable being a Black woman here. I just didn't. I got questions about, well, what about the cartel? What about the police? I heard that, there's a lot of corruption. Well, coming from a position of law enforcement myself, I'm not afraid of law enforcement here or the police. If they stop me and I have money and they're asking me for money, I'll give them money and go on. Whereas in the U.S., I may die for no reason, despite everything that I've accomplished. They don't care, I'm not afraid of the cartel. They don't want me. I'm not into drugs. I'm not into anything that they're doing, so it doesn't bother me. That's like me living in LA. There's gangs, and I'm not worried about gangs. They don't want me. What they want me for? They don't want me. So, you have all of these myths about things that are in a particular country or a city, and some of it's true. Is it dangerous? Do bad things happen? Yes, bad things happen everywhere. Hell, bad things were happening when I left the United States. There, people died, people are getting killed everywhere. I felt safe here. People ask me how does it feel to transition during a pandemic when people are dying? I actually feel safer here in the pandemic than I did in the U.S. Here, at least they give you some sense of security. Your temperatures are taken. They actually enforce you wearing a mask. There's procedures in place that are here that just they're not in the U.S. It's been a roller coaster, and I am in a place of joy and happiness that I did it. Like, I did it without any real guidance, so many loose ends, but I did it. I did it. You know, my last day of work, I cried on the way home because I knew that I was leaving almost 20 years behind. I cried for people who should get out of my job but can't because they're stuck. They're stuck for, you know, money, insurance, things like that. And I cried for them because I realized that the value of money is very different for me, and it's essential to survive, I know, but it's not what I'm chasing anymore. You know, everyone in LA is about the bag and all of the facades of what you look like, and I've gotten past that, so it's different for me. What am I going to do here for money and income? Well, I'm figuring it out. I'm going to do all the things that I'm passionate about, and one of them is healing women like me that were broken and in really bad relationships, and, you know, bad relationships, you know, where maybe your kids are screwing with you. You had a partner who suffered somehow. Just there's different reasons as to why, you know, things in our life were bad. You know, my hurt is maybe not your hurt, but it still hurts the same. So that's what I'm passionate about, women, and empowering us to be more than what society says that we should be. You know, being a mom, being a wife, they're all great, but that doesn't make you who you are. Me, I am more than someone's wife. I am more than someone's mother and more than someone's employee. I am me, and I am validated in that. And that's important to me. So that's what I'm going to focus on. That's going to be one of my biggest passion projects here. And I know that things will work out for me and I'll be fine. And hopefully I'll inspire other people to look outside the United States and know that they can thrive and be okay and be well wherever they decide to be, wherever their spirit chooses to be. This has been one of the most amazing transitions that I've ever made in my adult life. And it feels absolutely amazing. Incredible, actually, to be welcomed and loved and cared for in a way that you don't really see in other places is overwhelming. Not to be judged by your career choices, your complexion, your age is incredible. I truly feel honored and blessed to be in a place where I'm loved and my kindness is reciprocated. And I'm not looked at as the strange girl who hugs everyone. You know what feels the absolute best is being able to trust myself enough to believe in me that I can do it when everyone else said that I wouldn't and that I would fail. Because what black person moves and leaves all of these good things behind? Me. I did it. And if nothing else, I hope that my daughter sees her mom as someone who is resilient, determined, and a badass at the end of the day. I hope that my son sees his mom as someone who never gave up, even with all of the challenges that were in front of me and all around me, that I didn't give up. I did what my heart says, and I followed through. I know my mom is proud of me, and my father, he's incredible. He tells me how proud he is of me. So I hope that you guys that are on the fence about life, whether it's moving, living someplace else, across the street, down the street, changing careers, jobs, letting a bad relationship go, that you can do it. I am proof that you don't need a whole lot of time, that you don't need a whole lot of money, that if you believe in you enough, then that's all you need. You don't need anything else. I'll be uploading videos every week, showing my journey and how I got here and what my life is like here. On Facebook, I show a lot. So if you don't follow me, on Facebook, you should. It's better than Instagram to me because I'm able to talk directly to everyone, and I like that. So it allows me to engage a lot more and be a little bit more personable. So stay tuned, because only great things are happening, not only for me, but for you too. Okay? Until next time. See you soon.